Hi there and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's dive into today's top stories. TalkSPORT Pundit says £45 million Arsenal man could provide Arteta with a huge boost in 2024. Tony Cascarino has now been putting a more positive spin on Thomas Partey's latest injury at Arsenal under Mikel Arteta. Cascarino was commenting on Partey's recovery on TalkSport this morning and suggested it could be a blessing in disguise. The pundit suggested that Mikel Arteta could end up having a fresh and ready Partey for the second half of the season at Arsenal. Cascarino said, "Look, first and foremost on this, you could flip it on the other side and say he will be really fresh. He won't have much football played this year, and when he does come back, if he can avoid injury, if you look at last season's Thomas Partey, 80 to 90% of the season, he was sensational for Arsenal last year. He was brilliant for them last year. Obviously, he counted at the very end because Arsenal fell away slightly. I would be way more optimistic. If he can avoid injury, Thomas Partey will be a great addition going into the second part of the season." Of course, Cascarino's comment come off the back of many Arsenal fans now believing it's time to move on from Partey. Some fans have become increasingly frustrated at just how often Partey has missed games over the last few years, especially because of how good he is when he plays. Partey is a world-class talent when fully fit, as Cascarino suggests, but Arteta simply can't call on his services too often at Arsenal. It's a debate that will likely consume a lot of Arsenal's transfer talk come January, and it certainly will be something of a relief for Arteta that Jorginho is now faring well in Partey's absence. Arteta hailed the Italian as outstanding in the win over Burnley, a player who has found form at the right time. Arsenal do still have strong options in £45 million Partey's absence, but that doesn't mean they don't miss him. Arteta may have experimented with lineups including all three of Jorginho, Partey and Declan Rice this season. However, they have rarely all been available at the same time. Mikel Arteta wasting special player in the wrong position, says Arsenal legend. Arsenal legend Paul Merson has made it clear he thinks that Gunners manager Mikel Arteta is using Kai Havertz in the wrong position at the moment. The pundit admits he feels sorry for Havertz because he doesn't feel the Germany international is a midfielder, despite Arteta primarily using him in that role this season so far. Havertz mostly played up front or as a false nine during his time at Chelsea, but Arteta has been strangely reluctant to use him there since signing him for Arsenal in the summer, and Merson feels this is what's going wrong for the player at the moment. While some might argue that Havertz didn't exactly set the world alight whilst playing as a striker for Chelsea, it's also true that he was playing at a pretty dysfunctional club and under a number of different managers, so he might do better in his preferred role, this more settled Arsenal side. Merson said, "He is struggling a bit. He had a shot that got blocked. If you have got 4 in 4, you hit that and it gets deflected, or you hit it swiftly and it goes in. I feel sorry for him. I don't think he is a midfield player. I think he is a center forward. He is 6 feet and 4 inches. Maybe he is a number 10. What he did do, and they did well, Arsenal, they got the ball in the box, and he got in the box. He is a big lad. I hope he does well. I think he is a special player, and he is struggling. Everyone struggles in their career, and he is having that moment, and hopefully he gets through it." Pundit says Arsenal got the better player between Mudryk and Trossard. Arsenal made significant efforts to secure the signing of Mikel Mudryk in the last January transfer window, but Chelsea ultimately won the race for his signature. The Gunners had pursued the winger for an extended period, and he appeared inclined to join them amid interest from various clubs. However, Arsenal faced challenges in reaching agreement with Mudryk's club at the time, allowing Chelsea to secure his services, leaving Arsenal to turn to their plan B, Leandro Trossard. Despite Trossard being the alternative option, he has proven to be a successful signing for Arsenal. The Belgian winger showcased excellent performances in the second half of the previous season and has continued to be a key player for the team in the current campaign. Following Trossard's standout performance against Burnley yesterday, Pundit Matthew Upson believes that the Belgian has turned out to be a better signing for Arsenal than Mudryk might have been, he said on Premier League Productions. Trossard has made a great contribution, showing his versatility again. What a signing he has been from Brighton. I really do believe he has been a top signing for Arsenal, a really good finisher as well. For me, they have got a better player for a lot less money compared to Mudryk. I think he is possibly the best finisher at the club, technically. When you have a look at his goals, left and right foot, in and around the edge of the box, he is very accurate, very clinical. Mikel Arteta declares that £27 million Arsenal player needs to be more dominant now. After an excellent header to restore Arsenal's lead against Burnley, Mikel Arteta has now been discussing William Saliba's progress. Arteta was speaking to beIN Sports after the 3-1 win and said Saliba had been working in an important area of his game at Arsenal. The manager commented that Saliba had been trying to become more dominant in the box given his size and stature. Arteta said, "Absolutely. For Willie as well, for his presence and size, he needs to show a lot more dominance in the box, and he is really putting emphasis into that and trying to improve." Of course, Saliba is already considered one of the league's best centre-backs. Without this progress being considered, the France international was crucial at both ends in Arsenal's win and was heavily praised by the likes of Ian Wright for his showing. And although he is barely put a foot wrong for his club, Saliba is yet to convince some of the international stage. Marcel Desailly and William Gallas were somewhat skeptical of Saliba's growing reputation as one of Europe's best. Perhaps these improvements will stand Saliba in better stead when it comes to his next appearance for France, as it certainly seems a peculiar situation from an Arsenal fan point of view that he is not an automatic starter for his country. The £27 million Arsenal paid for Saliba now looks an absolute steal, even if Arteta has seemed key in unlocking his potential, and the thought of Saliba continuing to improve should be a scary prospect for other Premier League clubs. Another player who is showing signs of improvement at Arsenal is Jorginho. Despite being at a different stage of his career, Jorginho has needed to improve to provide better consistency in his performances, and having been hailed as outstanding by Arteta, he is clearly stepping up into an important role. 2 home wins have been the perfect remedy to some difficult away trips for Arsenal last week, and all at the club will once again be optimistic for club football to return after the international break. Mikel Arteta jokingly praises the referees after Burnley win. Mikel Arteta made sure to praise the referees and VAR after his side's game on Saturday afternoon. Arsenal moved up to second place in the Premier League table after a 3-1 win against Vincent Kompany's Burnley at the Emirates Stadium. Leandro Trossard opened the scoring minutes before the break, heading the ball past the stranded goalkeeper before crashing it into the post. The newly promoted side then grabbed a shock equalizer against the run of play after a deflected shot found its way to the back of the net. However, the shock wore off mere minutes later when William Saliba scored a towering header from a corner before Zinchenko put that game out of reach with a karate-style kick. There was a blemish on the performance, however, as substitute Fabio Vieira received a red card for a high challenge late on. Speaking after the game, Arteta made sure to praise the referees for their performance. He said, "With the red card, yes, VAR was right, the referee was right, really good decision, really positive from Mikel to speak about that good decision." Declan Rice now sends 17-word message to Arsenal fans after home win against Burnley. Declan Rice has now shared a message with Arsenal fans following a win against Burnley on Saturday before the international break. Rice played 90 minutes as usual for Arsenal in the win and was evidently relieved to be back to winning ways in the league. Taking to Instagram after the game, the midfielder did then share a message to fans as well as praising his teammates' performances. Posting on his story, Rice said, "We keep the momentum building. Thank you for the support. See you after the international break." Of course, Arsenal were enduring something of a mini crisis after consecutive losses, such as the weight of expectation on Mikel Arteta's side now, and back-to-back wins at the Emirates have proved a timely tonic, even if Arsenal didn't face the toughest opposition. Declan Rice was a standout performer as usual against Burnley, and his levels since joining Arsenal have been quite remarkable. Naturally, a lot was expected from the £105 million signing, but his immediate adaptation is rarely seen in such high-profile moves. Although he is doing well in the role, it's still something of a surprise that Mikel Arteta is so determined to play Rice as a number 8. Rice has confessed that he still believes the number 6 to be his best role, even if he is willing to adapt to anything he is tasked with. But it certainly is peculiar that Arteta is choosing to play one of the best defensive midfielders in the world in a more attacking role. And whilst the Arsenal manager does have the full trust of fans, it would surely be interesting to hear his honest justification. One reason might be the form of Jorginho in the pivot. Arteta called the Italian outstanding, and his positioning did allow Rice more freedom. And heading into the international break, it does seem that Rice will return to his more traditional role in the pivot, as he always has for Gareth Southgate. What's clear is Rice's versatility is clearly a huge asset for Arsenal, and his trajectory under Arteta will be fascinating to watch. Many clubs eyeing fullback transfer following Arsenal talks, says Fabrizio Romano. Galatasaray right-back Sacha Boey has recently revealed that Arsenal held talks over signing him during the summer, though this never led to a bid from the Gunners, and now Fabrizio Romano has explained his understanding of the situation in his exclusive daily briefing column. Bowie has seemingly been on Arsenal's radar, but Romano insists it was never anything that concrete, as they made Julian their top target during the summer, with any negotiations that may have taken place with Galatasaray never reaching a particularly advanced stage. Still, it seems there is interest in the highly rated young French fullback, according to Romano, so this might be one to keep following in the near future, even if it doesn't necessarily mean Arsenal are going to come back in for him. Bowie would undoubtedly add depth to this Arsenal squad, and that might be useful with Timber currently out injured. Though Mikel Arteta may also prioritize other areas, as he also has Ben White as a perfectly good option on that right-hand side. Discussing the Bowie story, Romano said, "Another player linked with Arsenal is Galatasaray right-back Sacha Boey, who spoke in an interview recently about the Gunners holding talks to sign him during the summer, though he says they never made an official bid. Honestly though, I'm told Arsenal were never in concrete talks for any fullback, as they signed Julian Timber as their priority target to cover different positions, so with Bowie, it was nothing concrete, nothing advanced. Many clubs are following Bowie for the future, but it's not something that we can describe as a deal or negotiation yet." Arsenal and Newcastle now want to sign outstanding £22 million midfielder. Arsenal and Newcastle are the latest clubs to think about making a move for Borussia Dortmund star midfielder Julian Brandt. Brandt has long been considered by English clubs and has Jurgen Klopp among his admirers in European football. However, the Mirror reports that it's now Arsenal and Newcastle who like what they see after seeing Brandt score twice against the Magpies in midweek. Brandt, 27, was signed by Dortmund for around £22 million and is regarded as key player for the German side. He signed a new contract until 2026. but the Mirror claims that will not put off the likes of Arsenal from making a bid. The Gunners are looking at the January window to once again try and strengthen their squad. A solid start to the season has seen Mikel Arteta's side once again placed among the title chasers in the Premier League. It's no surprise that Arsenal are looking for new players as they sense a chance at dethroning City at the top of the table. Last year, they came so close, but in the end drifted away. After a good summer of transfers, Arteta and Edu will now be thinking about how they can ensure the same doesn't happen this year. January is usually an expansive window, and with reports here claiming Dortmund won't want to sell Brandt, it could be a hard deal to do. However, there is no harm in knocking at the door for these players. And at the end of the day, these sorts of outstanding players are what the best teams need. Arsenal need to make sure that they are still chasing things come March and April this time around. Signing someone like Brandt then could be the ideal way to ensure that happens. As we wrap up today's Arsenal news, remember to stay tuned for daily updates right here on the channel. Don't miss out on the latest updates, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a like if you found this information valuable. Your support means the world to us. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.